Mass Effect 3. A good game? Bad game? Or a great game? Or maybe even a disappointing game? In my opinion, Troy of Snapwire Gaming, aka War Britannia, what is my opinion on Mass Effect 3? And I'm not gonna try to talk too much about the ending, because we all know about the ending. Well, it's certainly not a great game like Mass Effect 2 was. I don't think it's not close to great either, in my opinion. Mass Effect 3, in my opinion, is merely a decent game. Should you buy it? Well, not if you've played the first two. But if you have played the first two, it's disappointing to say the least. I mean, the story, without going too much into it, the story feels just like one mega big side quest, really. It just feels like a giant side quest. It does. I mean, I know the galaxy is at war and you have to round up people. Basic plot of Mass Effect 3 is this. The Earth has been invaded, the Reapers are invading all over the galaxy, and you need to get all your forces, the alien forces and the Human Alliance forces together to battle the Reapers and finish them off for all time, or die trying. Is that a good idea for a plot? Yes. Yes, it's a good idea. Good start on the idea for a conclusion of the Mass Effect 3 series. But the way they execute it makes it feel like I said before, just a giant side quest. Because you have to go to Mars and you pick up something there, and they don't really bring back what you pick up there. It's not too much of a big part of the game, really. It's just like there, it's mentioned, the Crucible it is. It's a doomsday device that would destroy the Reapers. And you hear about it and people are working on it and you think, oh, okay, good, can I see it and whatever. No, you never get to see it until the final battle in the game. Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it. After that, you have to go to the Citadel. Oh, the Citadel. The Citadel was one of the best parts of the first two Mass Effects games. I mean, as like a home base where you could go and buy stuff. The first two games, the first game, the game ends on the Citadel. The second game, you go to the Citadel once, you never really have to go there again except for companion missions, loyalty missions. Mass Effect 3, you're gonna spend about half your time on the Citadel. It seems like it, at least. And most of that time is running around listening to conversations of people you don't care about, that don't have names. Well, there is one that's kind of like an Easter egg. A hidden Easter egg. But you just go around, you listen to stupid conversations about shit you don't care about. And sometimes, people have side quests for you, which are almost always identical. You have to go fly out to some remote system, scan, hope the Reapers don't catch you, and pick up the item, then go back, find the person if you can, and deliver the item, the war asset item. Then you get more. Yes, that's another point. The war assets in Mass Effect 3 are basically your lifeline to getting a halfway decent ending. Basically, you want to collect war assets so you can get the Shepherd Alive ambiguous ending. So the game just turns into a giant side quest. You never directly face a Reaper forces. They just like pop out of the sky, invading. But you never... How do you explain this? You never go back to Earth and fight in the streets until kind of at the end. Up to then, the game just feels like a giant side quest, like you're just collecting things to help defeat the Reapers. It's very disappointing in my opinion, very disappointing. It's still a halfway decent game though, because its saving feature... Oh wait, I shouldn't go into it good yet. I should probably still talk about what I don't like about Mass Effect 3. Other than the ending. That was... yeah. The companions, your crewmates, you can... Oh my gosh. Part of Mass Effect, BioWare games overall, is that you have conversations with your crewmates and you feel for them. You make them feel like you actually know them. They did that in Coder, Knights of the Old Republic. They did it in Mass Effect 1 and 2. They did it in Dragon Age Origins. I haven't played Dragon Age 2 yet, so I can't really pass a verdict on that. But from what I've seen, it looks like most of the characters are halfway decent. It's got its own charm. I know some people don't like it, but from what I see, it's got its own kind of charm to it. Anyways, this is about Mass Effect 3. But the crewmates, basically, you just walk up to them. It doesn't go into like one of those like cutscenes where you talk to people. They just blab on about recent events. You don't say anything usually. They just talk and talk. Oh my god. You just stand there and listen to them blabble. And it's boring, really. There's no... I don't see any character development. The characters are basically the same. And that's not a bad thing for some of them. But character development is important. And, oh, don't get me started on James Vega. What a useless character. Who in their right minds would romance somebody that wasn't from the previous 2 games in Mass Effect 3? Who in their right minds would do that? Well, maybe Samantha Trainer. She's kind of funny. Maybe. The DLC character, Javik, I can't even remember his name. He is so forgettable. I never use him. He's basically Rex, only weaker. And not as fun to talk to. Rex, from the original Mass Effect, if you kept him alive, he still appears in Mass Effect 3, and it's pretty important. But Rex always reminded me of Candace Olu, an old warrior who liked sharing his war stories with you, and I found that interesting. I like Candace. But Javik is really depressing. It's like, oh, gee, we're all gonna die, but we might as well go out fighting and give the Reapers a run for their money. That's basically Javik. He's kind of depressing. What else is there to talk about? I guess I could go into what I like about the game now. What I like about the game? It's the gameplay, the combat. That actually has a feel to it. It's mostly the same as Mass Effect 2, mostly. But it's just good, okay? It's basically everything that was good about the Mass Effect 2 gameplay. And probably better, because now you can upgrade items. And there's more weapons, and you can upgrade weapons. Oh, what I don't like about that, though, is that there's a weight limit to how much you can carry, how many weapons you can carry at once. Like a sniper rifle will weigh more than a shotgun will weigh a ton. So if you use a sniper, you probably don't want to use an assault rifle, which is... I don't really like that idea because that's what I use all the time. Assault rifles and sniper guns. Classes, got the same 6-8 classes, whatever it was: Vanguard, Soldier, Infiltrator, Adept, Sentinel. Yeah, it's mostly the same classes. It works well. Oh, remember in Mass Effect 2 that you had to unlock power abilities by doing the loyalty missions? Yeah, there's none of that now. They get like 2 or 3 powers each, maybe an ammo power or something that'll boost, and something that'll boost their shields and health. It's not, it's just, Ashley Williams is the only character that has a different set than you would think. Before, she was just a soldier in Mass Effect 1, was able to do all the heavy tank things. She's still a good character. I romanced her the first time I went through the series. In fact, the only time I went through the series, because my female chef got deleted, or not deleted, but I got a new computer. And anyways, now she's got like marksman that increases her damage with like headshots and snipers, and I don't find that particularly useful. I like passive abilities, just not in Mass Effect 3. They just don't really make a difference. And finally, it just doesn't feel like an RPG anymore. I mean, it's got the side quests, doesn't have that many choices. It doesn't really have that many important choices. Except for in the final one, but that in the final scene of the game, final action in the game. But even that's not really a choice, because you want to go with the destroy option, you want to have enough war assets, and you want to see Shepard alive. I'm not going to go into the ending, maybe that's another video on its own. Finally, I already said finally, but BioWare is known for like 90% of the time-ish. You have a dialogue choice. You don't have just like, even if it's only one choice, like in the original Mass Effect, it gave you one option on the right, one option on the left, and even though they basically said the same thing, it made you feel like you were having a choice. Mass Effect 2, the character did a little more, your Shepard did a little more like talking without you getting to choose what he says, just like generic responses. Mass Effect 3, tons of generic responses. I'm kind of surprised. Sometimes I just sit back if I know what's gonna happen during a cutscene and don't do anything. If I know there's not like a Renegade or a Paragon option, which there isn't a lot of. I kind of remember there being more in Mass Effect 2. Maybe that's just me. Yeah. It just doesn't feel like an RPG, not being able to choose what you say, that amount of the time. It just doesn't feel the same as in the RPG way. Like Coder, basically every dialogue option was yours to choose. Sometimes you could pretty much dumb fuck it up by choosing the wrong option. I'm not saying that Coder's dialogue system was bad. I prefer what they used in Dragon Age 2 in the Mass Effect 3 series. It just doesn't feel like an RPG. It feels like a shooter. Halfway decent shooter with the gameplay, but there's a lot of backtracking. There's a lot of sidetracking and backtracking. Citadel DLC is pretty good. I liked it. It was kind of like old BioWare wit. Old BioWare wit. I don't really have anything else to say. This is the first episode of Troy's rants, I guess I'll call it, but Mass Effect 3. My final verdict is a 6 out of 10. It's pretty much it. It's a decent game. As an RPG, it's maybe a 5 out of 10, because you do have some choices, but they don't make much of an impact in the end. As an RPG, it's 5. As a shooter, it's like 6, 6.3, 6.5. It's not a halfway decent game. It's a fine game, but it just doesn't have that thrilling conclusion, and I hope Mass Effect 4 is an improvement. But I do suggest if you've played the first two, it just won't feel the same without playing the third one. If you're playing through the series, just play the third one. Because, I don't know, maybe someday it'll have like a rustic feel. It would be a feel of like, geez, we were tough on this game, but you know what? It was Mass Effect. So might as well love it.